Let me get into this. So let me get into the article here. It's from Yahoo Sports. It says NBA Finals ratings: Mavericks Celtics post worst Game 1 number since 2021. The Dallas Mavericks weren't the only group that underperformed in Game 1 in the 2024 NBA Finals. The series opener averaged a 5.7 rating and 10.99 million viewers on ABC per Sports Media Watch, making it the least watched NBA Finals Game 1 since the league hit its ratings nadir with the 2020 and 2021 finals. Beyond those two, 10.99 is the league's lowest number since 2007. The 2020 NBA Finals between the Miami Heat and Los Angeles Lakers averaged only 7.69 million viewers, while the 2021 series between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns averaged 8.7 million. Those numbers are a 5% decline from last year's Denver Nuggets Heat Game 1 and 8% decline in ratings when compared to the Boston Celtics last trip to the NBA Finals in 2020 against the Golden State Warriors. In a vacuum, it would be surprising for finals with the Celtics and the Mavs to underperform given the size of the Celtics fan base and the star power of Luka Doncic, but the lopsided nature of Game 1 obviously impacted the numbers. Boston was up 37-20 by the end of the first quarter and led by as much as 29 in 107-89 win. Okay, so basically the article goes on to say a few other things about ratings and all of that. Let me get into this. I've been following this story and I've been listening to various sources, right? I listen to conservative personalities. I listen to liberal personalities talking sports, talking politics, talking business. And whenever they discuss the NBA, usually what you hear is that the NBA is suffering, the NBA is suffering, the NBA is suffering. And you're like, okay. Then you hear the numbers with the ratings. You're like, okay. Then you look at the last All-Star game and how horrendous that was with viewership and all of that. You're like, okay, this makes sense. And then you turn around and you hear ESPN is, you hear ESPN is going to offer $2.8 billion to the NBA over the next 10 years. You hear, what is it? I think NBC is offering $2.6 billion. Then you have Amazon, who's offering over $1 billion, and you have TNT, Warner Brothers fighting to get within the mix. And you're like, they just 3x'd the deal that they won before, which was a $25 billion deal. Now they're at $76 billion. But then you hear these numbers and you're like, well, how do we reconcile all of this? Personally, I don't understand what's going on. I personally do not. If you look at viewership in the NBA, especially NBA Finals and all of that, over the last 25, 30 years, the numbers have just been declining. It was at its zenith when Michael Jordan was there. The most viewed NBA game ever was in 1998 Game 6 with the Chicago Bulls. That was the single most viewed basketball game in the history of the sport. And the greatest player of all time, by a wide margin, Michael Jordan was there playing. And ever since then, they've not been able to capture those numbers. Even the Golden State Warriors and all of them, LeBron, Stephen Curry, yeah, they were good. They still weren't on the level of Jordan and the Bulls and all of that. But now, when you hear these type of numbers of 10 million, and of course they had lower numbers, but what confuses me is the fact that they just landed this big deal, and then you see this sharp decline in viewership, and I'm like, how does all of this work? I am so confused. I wish someone somewhere would explain this to me.